to me, it's like in my head, I play those scenarios out and then I start to think like, what can I do better and like, how can I get better and why is it important? Because I want to be good. I'm back.
You're back, dude. You're freaking back, man.
2 years later.
Hey, you're the first person that get asked back to redo one.
Hey, I'm Christopher Ng. I work as an electrical engineer in the renewable energy industry. I work in battery storage specifically as a commissioning engineer. So I basically take projects from like the conception of projects after, well, not the conception, really like from the construction, past the construction stage. We guide people through the design phase as well. But we really focus on the nitty-gritty of getting the project from construction through all the permitting, all the processing for permitting through like the utility, making sure everyone is happy on that front. So we work with like all types of different engineers, but I've done other sectors of power engineering in the past, but that's like kind of what I do for work. My life outside the gym, yeah, I mean, those are kind of the main things. I like to travel. I do it whenever I can. Similar to the animals, I like to experience a lot of things firsthand, so I don't really like to read about them or see them as much as I can go out and investigate stuff for myself. So I like to go to places that maybe are not so talked about or like not so visited. Like not everybody is really, I hear a lot sarcastically like, oh wow, that's like no one, or like, people don't often go to there. Why would you want to go there? And it's because those stories like of the people there are not really being told. It's always like, what is their government doing, or like how they're persecuted, or how they treat Americans, or how they treat like the people of the Western world. Like that's how we kind of like paint that over the people, but like you go out there, you learn that like we have more in common than we have different. And like a country's government doesn't really like dictate the people living in it. So I like to go and travel and broaden my worldview and meet people that way, and then also it plays into like my curiosities about animals. So I get to go out, travel to places, look for the animals I love. Sometimes, go with guides, and those are some of the things I like to do when I travel. I feel like you learn about people's journeys here, and like it really helps me to connect with people here too, like because I'm actually an introvert, believe it or not. And a lot of people don't believe that because they're like, oh, but you're so social at the gym. But it's like, it's my 4th year at the gym. Everyone that walks through the door, it's like, this has now become like my comfort zone and like my home safe space. So anyone else that comes in through the doors, it's like, who are you? What's your story? Like, what's your lived experience? Do you like snakes by chance? Do you speak Russian by chance? Because I'm looking for language partners, like just random things like that. But also like, where are you in your fitness? I'm curious, like, or, I try to like make at least small talk with different people just to see, who's coming through our doors, who is all who. And then I think that as a community, like that, I'm not the only one that does that. I think like our whole gym, like we kind of have that sort of community feel, that sort of curiosity collectively, which I think is why our community is so strong. We make fast friends, and people, they start by coming to class for the hour and then staying for the hour and bolting out the door as soon as they can because they're like, okay, I've finished the hardest thing of my day. But now they stay a while because someone will ask them a couple more questions about what do you do outside of the gym? Or like, do you have time to go to dinner with us? Slow things like that, and then that's how we kind of build camaraderie, build like friendships and stuff. But for me personally, I definitely like to see, like all my friends winning. And I say about my friends because after they walk through that door and we just have a couple conversations, it's like, oh, now we know this person likes to be encouraged, or where we're at in our fitness, like, hey, let's start like running together, or like we can be partners for something. Let's be partnered up on a Saturday. So it's cool because like I think it does transfer. It's a good point. It's like it does transfer my like curiosity to learn about their stories is like just as much as somebody who would live in like another country. I think working out was like the cool thing, and then CrossFit was the scary way of doing it as far as like this is 2019. I had just started working out at that time. So then I think I did like 2 sessions in a global gym before COVID came around. I started right during COVID time, so I didn't do anything. And then I downloaded this one app that was like a food app that was just keeping me kind of active during COVID times, because I could like drive around, pick something up from a restaurant for free for any given day. And through this app, I, originally just gained a lot of weight that I was like uncomfortable with sitting with. So first step was like, okay, how do I shed this? So then, I went to like a local gym, Anytime Fitness. Shout out, because they did come in clutch during COVID times. They were open 24/7. It was like a premium membership or whatever, but you can go in 24/7. So it was like cool because they had their social distancing and whatever, they were open, while other box gyms were all closed. So I went there for about like maybe 6 months or so. I got like a trainer there, started lifting weights, doing things like that. And then my trainer had swapped me out with another guy who came from like a CrossFit background. And so at the same time, around the same era of like 2020, 2021, I had seen, more CrossFit media. So I said, hey, CrossFit looks interesting, but I heard all about the injuries and all the scary stories. And he said, no, it's actually, I really recommend it, and it's not as bad as you might think. So, I think take it as fake, because then I saw the CrossFit Reason ad popped up on my phone at like 2 a.m. and I found it. I texted the number, or I think, I put in a consultation, and I actually had the consultation. So had it with Luke, Coach Luke, who brought me in for what I thought was gonna be a sell me every membership package sort of deal. It was not that. What I thought, I blocked out like half an hour for it. It was not that either. It was like a full, like an hour and a half, maybe 2-hour session of just like, what are your goals? What are your, what are you here for? What brought you in through a door? Is like understanding, kind of similar to this, is like learning my story, finding out what the best fit for me was. And then the rest is history. I mean, like that really sold me that like, this doesn't seem like any other thing that I've done. I feel like I was walking into something that they were just shoving a bunch of deals at, like, oh, we can offer you this membership. It was like, hey, this is what we have. How does this sound for you? And if it doesn't work, then we'll set you up with something that does. And so we kind of sifted around through what the packages look like, how I can get onboarded, was it realistic, is it in my budget, like all that stuff, and we worked that all out. Logistics aside, he showed me the gym, he showed me around, he asked me about like my overall fitness, he asked me like, where are you at in life? And at that point, I think I was just coming out of COVID, and it was just like, I just started a new job, so it was like right in time. So trying to understand where I was at with like scheduling and my life in general, my health and fitness, like what my goals were coming into the gym, kind of building out a plan from there. So it felt, and then also like we just got really deep about like identity. I don't even remember how we pivoted into that, but it's like just kind of an example of like, you're not really treated like a number or like a wallet. I didn't feel like that, right? Like I've walked into several other global gyms where they're just like, they're trying to make commission. And so it didn't feel that way. And so from that moment, I was like, okay, like we got something different. Definitely the goals were very aesthetically oriented. Like at the time, like CrossFit seemed cool, but like when you watch it on TV and you watch people do these things that look crazy, you don't really put yourself in that position of like, I'm gonna be doing those things. You think like it's impossible. Like how am I supposed to achieve what those crazy people are doing? So all I really wanted out of it was like, I wanna lose weight. I wanna get skinny, or I wanna get muscular. It was all about my aesthetic, and it was all about my presentation. And it was crazy because it didn't take very long for me to realize that like, it wasn't my weight or aesthetic or anything like that that started to change right away. It was like my approach to the whole thing, right? Like, wow, I may look this way, but I can still do these things. Like I surprised myself that I could, squat this much or deadlift this much or hang from a bar. That was like impossible for a long time. Or do X number of push-ups, or go upside down, or lift a barbell. Those accomplishments stacking started to mean more than like trying to cut a bunch of weight or like meet a certain body mass or muscle mass or achieving some sort of aesthetic. So I think for me that was like a huge change in the goals, but initially it started very much aesthetic. I think when I started, I didn't really like hold my head high ever. I was just kind of like plagued by my insecurities as somebody, like, you know, the way I presented, who I am in this world, the community, like who I am in the communities I'm a part of. Sometimes it's like an outcasted situation. Sometimes it was like, you know, the things that I couldn't control, like society's perception of me is who I am, right? Things that automatically put me in a box where I'm less advantaged than others. At least I always fell victim to that, right? And then I started working out and I noticed that like, not only do I see myself differently and I like carry myself differently, but other people approach you differently too, right? Like people who don't really give you the time of day for some reason or the next, they start to. It's a weird feeling, right? It's a little depressing, but it's a weird feeling in the fact that like, you know, you get a little bit more muscles and more people start to talk to you differently in a nicer way. I would say that like the person who I was before, probably still like really dorky, really nerdy, really like curious, really yappy. Definitely way more insecure, definitely way more like mad at the world that like, why don't I have it like these people? Why can't I do these cool things like work out a lot? Or why don't I have hobbies that I could relate to like what I consider to be the normal population? Because I feel like I have a lot of really obscure interests, which I don't feel obscure when I'm in those communities, but outside of them, I feel very like out of place a lot. So coming here and like doing something that was more of like normal fitness and being able to share that past the circles of my like my nerdy hobbies or my niche communities was pretty cool. Got me to be more confident for sure. And then of course, like just changing in the body, like changing in capability. I feel like I've come a long way from like, you know, I used to always view myself as like super unathletic and just no like athletic gift at all. So I was really curious how was that gonna play out for CrossFit, right? Like I would have never thought in a million years like CrossFit was a sport of choice that I would go into and something that I could take off with, because like I failed in a lot of other sports for one reason or the next, and a lot of it had to do with like me getting in my own way of like, I'm too tall for that, or I'm too slow for that, or I'm not built for that, I'm not strong enough. Or you learn your strengths, you learn your weaknesses, but you still learn in the process. You still do it all, no matter if you like it or you hate it. So I feel like it's forced me to do that and like just more holistic like view on a lot of things. Sometimes it's hard for me to think back like a year. So I have a permanent wrist fracture, as you guys know. Like it's hard for me not to compare like my performance or what could have been, or like, you know, performance then to what could have been if I didn't have this. But then sometimes I go back and I'm like, okay, you know, I have this, I'm still able to, you know, I have to be thankful that I'm still able to press on it. I'm still able to come back and like do a lot of the workouts that I had to take time off from doing. And I never, frankly, for a long time, I thought like, wow, I'm probably never gonna do a bar muscle up again. And I just try to sit with that fact, like sit comfortably and just like make myself feel comfortable with it. And over time, you know, I started mobilizing more and more. I started getting less painful and more comfortable. I started learning the positions that worked, and then got my bar muscle up back. Unfortunately, not my first like major injury, right? But it's the first one I'd had to overcome while working out and here. And so definitely taught me a lot about being patient and like taking a step back, right? Because you can't really rush this. And so I've certainly tried to rush it. I certainly made my mistakes and I didn't get it checked up to the point where it became permanent, because I just kept delaying like a real checkup for different reasons, right? Like I didn't have insurance or whatever, but I just kept delaying it and thought it was a sprain, became an actual permanent fracture. But it teaches you really like, you know, what can I do outside of this that still like keeps my ball rolling, keeps some momentum going. So I did a lot of like strength training sessions or a lot of cardio sessions where I'm just using my legs. If I was squatting, I would have like an adjusted hold, or front squatting, I was doing this bad boy. Alternatives to working around this one and not just like, kind of moping over it. Like, yeah, there was a lot of pain, but I was still like, I think they say like 60% of like the strength building you can do, like if you train one side, it's like translates to the other side like 60% or something. That's what I heard. So I did a lot of single arm training with just my left arm. I was worried that, oh, maybe I'm gonna develop one side, it's gonna be like really big, and the other side is gonna be like, ugly. And I'm like, why does that matter? Like, I'm still moving forward in a positive direction. Like, if I have one arm that's bigger than the other, why does that matter? And I realized it's like, I'm worried about how other people see it and like what they might think when they see like, why does this guy only have left arm muscles? And I'm like, that doesn't matter, You just can't rush the process of healing. You feel very defeated, right? Because it's something that I can't control for a long time. So I'm just gonna try to make the best of it. And this situation's like, similar outside the gym, right? Like if you like things that you have to are out of your control, but you just have to accept and try to make the best of it. I wanted to mope around and like just, like be down on myself, but it's also like I'm pretty good about like giving myself grace and being like, okay, like take the time to just recoup and like process what happened. Like if it means like I have a day off the gym, like just to be like, damn, I like collect my thoughts or whatever. Because I was pretty upset when I actually found out that it was like a permanent fracture and there was no way of healing it. But then she told me like, my doctor, my hand doctor, she told me, since you have this prognosis, it's not gonna heal, it's not gonna like ever gonna get fully 100%, you might as well do as much as you can with it. So you like perform to your ability until it hurts, and your body knows best when to stop. Your body knows best when to curtail.
Think through like a really proud moment or moment of like breakthrough that you had that really stands out in the time that you've been here.
I mean, winning team series was pretty cool. Shout out to Beth, best partner ever. Sorry to my other partners, but I'm not shy about that. We won team series. It was a cool little like comeback year because we did it the first year together. She was my partner through that. And that was back when we had, RX and scaled. And I was like super scaled. My first team series I did like after 2 months of being a member. And like I did like 4 wall walks, and the rep ranges with other teams were like in the hundreds. So my rep, it was like the workout started with 5 wall walks and I only did 4, and I couldn't get up to the 5th one, so I couldn't move on. And it was like the most embarrassing moment ever. I still talk about it to this day. But she was there encouraging me, like, telling me it's not a total loss, it's fine, like this. She was being very, very patient, very sweet. And so I was very appreciative, even though I really just wanted to like rip my hair out and like cry and duck under a table and never see anybody. But then 2 years later, we came back and we randomly got partnered again for team series, and we won the thing. And it was cool that like in 2 years you could see your progress as like an athlete. We're closer friends. We were, we had developed like a friendship obviously after that. We worked together really well, like splitting the workouts and playing to our strengths and stuff like that. So I would say that was a pretty cool win, because it was like, I went from like the lowest doubt, right? Like 4 wall walks out of like a workout where people were getting 100 reps and more, to like winning the thing. And that doesn't mean like we won every workout, but like the competition circuit, right? Even like our in-house competition circuit that encompasses like all the different facets of like teamwork and stuff. That means we crushed it with the team challenges. There's a lot of comparison, right? Like we live in a world where it's so easy to compare and like doom scroll and why can't I have that? Why can't I do that? It's really hard to like live in the moment and be like, wow, I can do I'll stack up all the abilities, right? And there are days where I do, I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. I could do that still, or I could like even accomplish this with given that or that. But I always find that like that's kind of where I'm at, right? Like I'm always happy that Like, even though I have this, I can do this. I'm not just happy that like, wow, I can do that, like this cool thing. Whereas like, if all my peers at the gym, if I hear them talking about something like that for themselves, I stop them and I try to remind them like, hey, dude, like, you know, you're talking about how, I don't know, double unders are like, I can't do double unders, but like 6 months ago, you never touched a jump rope in your life. And now you're doing single unders and you're on your way to double unders. Like I try to remind other people that's like, hey, you know, like be happy where you're at and like trust in the journey and just things like that. To me, it's like in my head, I play those scenarios out and then I start to think like, what can I do better and like, how can I get better and why is it important? Because I want to be good. Who I am, I used to worry about how other people worried how I was spending my time, right? So I thought a lot, and I went through this with my therapist, is like, why don't I enjoy going out? And like, I should enjoy going out. I should be enjoying my life young and allocating time to go club, allocating time to go out, but like, I don't actually enjoy that. But for some reason, I feel like I need to throw myself out there. I need to meet people on the weekends. I need to like go party and like just do these things, like not to fit in, but just to have like some semblance of like, I'm not wasting away my youth, or like I'm doing things with my weekend and being productive, so to speak. But then after starting like fitness and like getting into this bubble, it's like now people outside of this, you know, circle, they think like, oh, this guy's always just working out. This guy's always just like at the gym, like he doesn't have time. So they stop inviting you, number one. But number two is like, I grew so comfortable with that and being like, sorry, I can't, got the gym. Sorry, I'm gonna be at my gym. Or I'm gonna work out. And then, you know, usually they hit you up at like, you know, 5 or 6 and then I'm like, oh, I'm still at the gym. And they're like, what, how? And you get so like used to just like fending that behavior off because it's so important to you that you made the time for it. You don't just hope and pray that like other people will accept it. You make them accept it because that's who you are. That's how I choose to live my life. That's how I'm gonna spend my time. Whether other people accept it or not, I don't need their like acceptance. I don't need for them to be like, you need to spend less time at the gym or something. So it's like, I think it really changed like the way, like I'm not really doing things to please others in that way, like to keep people happy of like, oh, you know, I'll try to make this thing and I'll cut out time from things that matter to me and like I'll minimize like my interests or the things that are important so that I can make time for things that aren't serving me or like filling my cup or anything. So definitely a lot of like different integration. Oh man, it means a lot. I mean, the way I always describe it now is it's hard to make friends as adults. And I don't mean that on like a collecting friends all around, like, you know, just one friend here and there, because you can have that and you can also have your friends like back home, you can also quote unquote, and you can have the friends that you grew up with, but like ultimately a lot of people split ways, right? Like, but even here, like when we do split ways, we still find time to see each other. And like, you know, the eating out part like is just, sometimes it's like, oh, I'll eat at home, but I'll still come and hang out. Or I'll eat at home, but I'll still swing by for dessert or something just to spend the time. And like, it's not just even me, that's like people who are here today. That's people who are past members that we still see on the regular. Like, you know, we have dinner with people from the past, like that don't go here anymore, that don't even live here anymore, that like, you know, they visit town and we see them, or they like off school for semesters and we're here and we're spending all this time together. You know, we have this sort of, and that's just the immediate like friend group, right? The community on a whole is something, like I said, is like it feels very welcoming, feels very like I found a home outside of home kind of thing, which I referenced to when I talked about like meeting new people here and being open for that. It means a lot for sure. I think this identity of who you're building in like your fitness profile, it really depends on what it means to you, right? Like how much it matters to you. Like, are you coming in here to like take your mind off whatever life is throwing at you outside of here? Are you coming in here for the love of the game, love of the sport? Or are you like, you know, here to be like, oh, I want a title of RX. I want to like, you know, be the boss of the place and be the fittest in the gym or fittest in Arcadia, fittest in the US, in the world. I feel like it really manifests the effort in is gonna be your output, right? Like you're gonna get your reward out. It doesn't undermine anyone's efforts because it's like what you put into it is what you get out of it, right? So even if you show up, that's already a win. You know, you have to at least realize like, oh, why am I like spending the money? Why am I coming through the doors, allocating the time, especially for people like parents who are like, you know, scrambling to find a free minute in their day. Why am I setting aside all this time to do this thing? So you have to kind of like sit with yourself and be like, okay, this is the reason why. And what do I want out of it?
What does stronger through mean to you?
My ever-reaching journey to get stronger, finding things along the way that try to stop me, but you just keep finding other ways to overcome and get stronger. I think that's like the first thing that comes to mind. It's not just physically, but mentally. You know, a lot of days I really don't want to do a 20-minute WOD, but you still have to. It moves me. I don't know, there's always this chase of like, you know, improving. I feel like, yeah, just getting better at something. And if I'm like in a place where I'm happy where I'm at the baseline, I still want to like move, raise that, you know. You get to a point where you're hitting the roof, you got nowhere to go, you got to raise the roof. So find what moves me, that's probably what moves me.